Here with Sam Kendricks, American record holder. And Sam, first off, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
What is it about the Belton Expo that has you coming back every year?
Well, events like this have been growing a lot in the past half decade. When I was a young vaulter, I didn't know this sort of thing to exist. It didn't exist, especially in Mississippi. And I miss it. I miss it, and I didn't even know I was missing it back in the day. I started jumping 15 years ago. This event is 12 years old now, so I missed it by a few years. But I never was good enough to go out of my home state, and we didn't have it in Mississippi. But seeing this many people vested in the event, wanting to know that knowledge, is cool. Now, from a more practical standpoint, I like to see a lot of kids jumping high because that helps me as a professional, because the next generation is going to be even better when they get to compete against each other like this. It's special, and I like how they value their elite athletes here, because they're going to get to see the generation that's challenging them in the future, and that's essential. You can't get complacent when you want to be good at this sport.
So tell me about yesterday's clinic that you and your dad put on.
So my dad and I, we did a little exposition. I wouldn't call it a true clinic. A lot of people ask us over the years, how do we do things that are different?
Right.
Because I've won quite a few things in this sport. I've won world championship twice, indoor silver medals twice, Olympic medals once. And that's not a very common, I can admit that's not a very common thing. Something must be special about us. And the special things about us are that we're not that special. And we wanted to show people that even the tools that they have at their disposal are essential to people jumping high. And we wanted to make that very clear. That I want to be even more of what they already are than they know they can be. I want to be good on the runway. I want to be good on pole. I want to know my equipment. And those are things that all seem so obvious, but they get lost in the confusion of the sport when you're traveling and having to get better all the time.
Right.
Sometimes when you're young in the sport, especially in America, you've got to get better so much faster than you're ready to. And that's just the crux that we have to abide by. At our clinic, we wanted to slow things down, show, hey, why did Sam progress the way he did? So then maybe people could relate to me. If they can relate to me, maybe they can learn from me. And if they can learn from me, maybe they can jump better themselves.
Fair enough. Now, the Olympics obviously pushed back a year. How have you and your dad rearranged your training headed now towards 21?
Well, it would have been a lot different if I wasn't already a professional. And that's the hardest thing about postponing such a large championship, is it chaps the next generation, not the current one. So as a competing professional, I can always find meets as long as they're out there, because I have a name, I have recognition,
right.
And I'm very blessed to have that. And I got a spare year to add some things to my training that I wasn't necessarily doing. I don't like to talk technical aspects because not everybody can relate to them, but I got to fill in some holes, and I got to go to a lot of places. Even though this year was weird, I jumped 20 times, which is a big season for a lot of people.
With all of your accomplishments from high school, college, American record holder, Olympian medalist, what's left on your resume?
Well, my goal was never to win any of those things, never to do those great things. The medals weren't why I started the sport. I started this sport because it made me special, and I was able to make my track team in the very beginning. I was able to contribute somehow, and it grows every year. But when I decided to become a professional, I didn't think myself able to win an Olympic medal or a world championship medal, but I did want something special. I wanted a career. I wanted a career in athletics. Now, the cool thing about this expo is that you get to see a lot of generations of the sport and guys that had different ideas of what professionalism was like as a pole vaulter. And it's different in every era. But there is a place carved out in our sport for people who are consistent. They don't have to be miraculous, and I was never that. But if they can be consistent, they can make money. They can win that prize. They can take those spots, and then sometimes, if they're there all the time, they'll snatch a victory or a medal. And that's how your career continues. And I wanted to have a 10-year career in this sport, and I'm almost there. I'm only 4 years short. I'm over halfway, and that's a big deal to me. I didn't necessarily want to win everything. I wanted to be there for a long time, because this is the life I wanted to lead.
Is coaching in your future?
I think coaching is part of my future. I don't think it's good for people who have taken so much from the sport not to get back to it in some regard.
So, final question: with all the athletes that have been here this weekend, You've signed poles, you've signed autographs, et cetera, et cetera. What advice do you have for all these kids that are aspiring to be a really good vaulter?
The trials of this sport are changing. The trials of the sport aren't, can I invert, can I get poles? Because the coaching and the materials are out there. Those were the things that I struggled with when I was young. Where do I find the knowledge? Where do I find the equipment? Where do I find a place to go jump? Those were the hard things. Now the hard thing is, where's my motivation? Where's my mental strength coming from?
Mm-hmm.
Where is my ability to be contented with my abilities and still push forward going to come from? Because it doesn't come naturally. And those are the challenges you're going to deal with, and that's the honest truth. Everyone's going to be so different. You're blessed to have parents, you're blessed to have coaches in your life, you're blessed to have the things that your coach tells you that they didn't have when they were young in the sport. Be thankful for those, and that'll be your pathway to having what's between the ears, for sure.
Well, with you and Renault and Mondo, it's going to be an incredible year. Sam, we wish you the best of luck, and obviously for America to bring home the gold.
Try to put on a good show.
Thank you.